Good day, students! I'm teacher Aisa Damayo, your teacher in Arts 8. Are you ready for our lesson today? In the previous lesson, you've learned the characteristics of arts and crafts in specific countries in Southeast Asia, such as Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, and Singapore. In this lesson, you will learn how to reflect the mood and ideas on East Asian artifacts. Yes, today we're going to discuss East Asian artworks and artifacts. And at the end of the lesson, you are expected to This lesson intends to give you knowledge about East Asian countries, specifically China, Japan, and Korea. These countries have been noted for their numerous similarities and commonalities in their art production, artistic traditions, and principles of art as influenced by their history, beliefs, religion, location, culture, and dynasty. This lesson will also introduce you to the arts and crafts such as painting, calligraphy, pottery, paper kites, knot tying, woodblock printing, ukiyo-e, and paper cutting. If you were to ask to make a painting, what would you paint? Why would you choose that? Now, let's talk about the arts in East Asia. Are you ready? So, let's begin. Please fasten your seatbelt and join me as I travel to the land of China, Japan, and Korea.
Reflecting modes and ideas on East Asian artifacts. To start with, did you know that painting started from prehistoric men? He used red ochre and black pigment. Early paintings often showed hunting scenes of men chasing various animals, such as horses, rhinoceros, lions, buffaloes, and mammoths. These prehistoric paintings were drawn on the walls of caves, blocks of stone, and found all over the world, including China. The history of Eastern painting is as old as the civilization of China. It is historically comparable to Western painting. Eastern countries continued to influence each other's production of arts over the centuries.
What other important information you need to remember in East Asian arts?
What are the painting subjects or themes in China? They are flowers and birds, landscapes, palaces and temples, human figures, animals, and bamboos and stones. How about paintings in Japan? Their main subjects are scenes from everyday life and narrative scenes crowded with figures and details. While in Korea, subjects are divided into 5 categories. First, landscape paintings. Second, minhwa, the traditional folk painting. Third, 4 gracious plants, palm blossom, orchids or wild orchids and chrysanthemums. Fourth, bamboo and portraits. Important aspects in East Asian painting. First, landscape painting. It was regarded as the highest form of Chinese painting. They also considered the three concepts of their arts, which is nature, heaven, and humankind. Chinese society, basically agricultural, has always laid great stress on understanding the pattern of nature and living in accordance with it. Oriental artists often created landscapes rather than paintings with the human figure as subjects. Second is silk. It was often used as the medium to paint upon, but it was quite expensive. When the Han court eunuch Kai Lun invented the paper in the 1st century AD, it provided not only a cheap and widespread medium for writing, but painting became more economical. The ideologies of Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism played important roles in East Asian art. Chinese art expresses the human understanding of the relationship between nature and human. This is evident in the form of painting of landscapes, bamboo, birds, and flowers. This might be called the metaphysical, Taoist aspect of Chinese painting. To make your painting interesting and realistic, apply these 6 principles of Chinese painting established by Ziyi, a writer, art historian, and critic in 5th century China. First, observe rhythm and movements. Second, leave spaces for the eyes to rest. Third, use brush in calligraphy. Fourth, use colors correctly. Fifth, live up to tradition by copying the master's artwork. And lastly, copy the correct proportion of the objects and nature.
Painting is closely related to calligraphy among Chinese people. What is calligraphy? Your beautiful handwriting is considered calligraphy. So keep on writing not only beautifully, but also artistically.
To the Chinese, calligraphy is the art of beautiful handwriting. Traditional painting involves essentially the same techniques as calligraphy and is done with a brush dipped in black or colored ink. Oils are not used. In calligraphy, the popular materials which paintings were made of paper and silk. Poets write their calligraphy on their paintings. Your paintings can be mounted on scrolls, such as hanging scrolls or hand scrolls, album sheets, walls, lacquerware, folding screens, and other media.
Temples are the usual subject in East Asian painting. Now, observe the roofs of the temples and buildings in China, Japan, and Korea. Do you notice their sweeping roofs? Why do they have this unique type of roof?
East Asian temples and houses have sweeping roofs because they believe that it will protect them from the elements of water, wind, and fire. Buddhists believed that it helped ward off evil spirits, which were deemed to be straight lines. The figures at the tips are called roof guards. There are three main types of roofs in traditional Chinese architecture that influence other Asian architecture. First, straight incline. It is more economical for common Chinese architecture. Number 2, multi-inclined. Roofs with two or more sections of incline. These roofs are used for residences of wealthy Chinese. Third, sweeping. It has curbs that rise at the corners of the roof. These are usually reserved for temples and palaces, although it may also be found in the homes of the wealthy. Originally, the ridges of the roofs are usually highly decorated with ceramic figurines.
Activity number 1. Painting or not. Look at the artwork and answer the following on a sheet of paper.
Woodblock printing. It is a technique for printing text, images, or patterns used widely throughout East Asia. It originated in China as a method of printing on textiles, but eventually became a method for printing on paper. This method was adopted in Japan during the Edo period and became one of their oldest and most highly developed visual arts. The most common theme in Japan for printmaking describes scenes from everyday life. It narrates the scene and is often packed with figures and details. Japanese ukiyo-e. The best known and most popular style of Japanese art is ukiyo-e, which is Japanese for pictures of the floating world, and it is related to the style of woodblock print making that shows scenes of harmony and carefree everyday living. Ukiyo-e art was produced in a diversity of different media, including painting, and became an art domain of the upper classes and royalty, but later was also produced by the common people.
Painting is indeed one of the highest forms of arts in East Asia. Do people from East Asia use other materials as canvas for painting? Let's find out as we move on to the festivals and theater performances in East Asia. Can you describe the costume used in East Asian festivals and theater performances? Paintings in East Asia do not apply on paper, silk, and wood. Performers of Kabuki in Japan and Peking opera in China use their faces as the canvas for painting, while mass painting is done in Korea. We will have further discussions on face painting in fourth quarter, but in this lesson, you will learn the meaning of colors of faces and mass painting.
East Asian countries have theatrical forms like Peking opera of China and Kabuki of Japan. The performers from China and Japan usually paint faces depending on the character or personification they are portraying. So aside from painting on silk, paper, and printing on woods, Chinese and Japanese also painted their face, and Koreans paint masks for theatrical and festival performances. Peking opera face painting or Jinjulianpu is done with different colors in accordance with the performing characters, personality, and historical assessment. The hero type characters are normally painted in relatively simple colors, whereas enemies, bandits, rebels, and others have more complicated design on their faces. It is a traditional special way of makeup in Chinese operas, in pursuit of the expected effect of performance. Originally, Lianpu is called the false mask. Kabuki makeup of Japan. Kabuki makeup or keshu is already in itself an interpretation of the actor's own role through the medium of the facial features. On stage, this interpretation becomes a temporalization of makeup in collaboration with the audience. The result is a decoding of the drama traced out in the graphic designs of the painted face. Kabuki makeup is also another way of face painting which has two types. First, standard makeup. It is applied to most actors. Second, Kuma makeup, applied to villains and heroes. It is composed of very dramatic lines and shapes using colors that represent certain qualities. Dark red represent passion or anger. Dark blue represent depression or sadness. Pink represent youth. Light green represent calm. Black represent fear. And purple represent nobility. Some examples of face painting are the Mokimi-guma, where the lines are painted onto an actor's face. These are then smudged to soften them. Korean mask. Korean mask, called Tao, originated with religious meaning just like the masks of other countries which also have religious or artistic origins. Korea has a rich history of masks. They use it in funeral services to help banish evil spirits and theater plays dating back to the prehistoric age. Masks were also used for shamanistic rites, and were kept within temples where they were honored with offerings. By the 12th century, the mask became part of elaborate dances and dramas. Activity number 1. Painting analysis. Use the pictures below to compare the paintings from Japan and China. Identify the similarities in terms of the subjects and elements of arts used by each country by writing your observation on your answer sheet.
Thank you for listening, dear students. I hope you learned something from our discussion. Until next time, and have a great day.